In 2022, a girl with a pink cat avatar showed up on TikTok and went from 0 to over 1 million followers in less than 2 months. She declared herself as the only true god and convinced tens of thousands of people to pray to her every night. And for a while, she was only seen as a notorious clickbait personality. Then she said the R slur on camera, desecrated the holy books of major religions, and produced sexual content involving a minor. Her Discord server became a place she told her shy followers to live themselves on live calls.
Shy people are weak in the world, and they should themselves. Ooh?
Okay.
Yeah. Shy people just shouldn't exist. You guys are disgusting.
And through all of it, she kept posting and smiling through that pink cat avatar like none of it was happening. This is the story of Meowbah, one of the most depraved personalities on the internet, and the deeper in you go, the worse it gets.
Is it a girl? Is it a guy? Is it a fucking kid? Is it an adult? You know what I'm saying? Is she Muslim? Is she Christian? Is she something? Is she her own god? Like, what is...
Meowbah is an Australian internet personality born on May 13th, 2004, and the only version of her the internet has ever seen is a pink illustrated cat girl. She started as a PNG tuber, a style of content where the creator replaces a webcam with an animated, illustrated image, which is usually of a character they've designed themselves, just like Meowbah did through her cat girl avatar. And considering how much personality Meowbah has managed to project through her animated character is certainly impressive. Her entire aesthetic is rooted in anime-style artwork. She is specifically inspired by Puella Magi Madoka Magica, and this character visible in everything she creates, which may also be why she speaks in a high-pitched voice while referring to herself in third person. She weaves broken Japanese into her English, something that has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because for someone who clearly draws so much from Japanese culture, the way she engages with it has always felt disrespectful. She launched her first public account on TikTok on March 5th, 2022, followed by YouTube just weeks later on March 29th. Within 2.5 months, she had already crossed a whopping 1.5 million followers. In November 2023, she announced she was done with PNG tubing and introduced a fully animated virtual character by April 2024.
Meow has something to announce! From now on, Meow will no longer be a PNG tuber. But because Meow's becoming a VTuber! Yay! Can you say yay? Yay! If you want to ask questions from Meow's VTuber videos, then join Meow's Discord!
She also runs a Patreon and sells art through VGen. Her Discord server alone has over 90,000 Discord members, which, by the way, is one of the most controversial parts of her online presence. And this massive audience makes you wonder how someone who had never shown her face, never revealed her real identity, and existed online only through a pink cat avatar managed to build such a massive following. But the answer goes back to the very beginning. Before we dive deeper into the story, I just want to ask for a quick favor. I've started uploading these deep dives on Spotify as well, so if you'd rather listen on the go or you simply want to support the work I'm doing, go follow me there. Just scan the QR code on screen or check the Spotify link in the description. To the first few weeks when she went online, the very first thing that put Meowbah on the map was not her art or her cat girl persona. It was a slur. On March 14th, 2022, Meowbah posted a TikTok where she was reading comments under her videos. A commenter dared her to say the R slur on camera and she just did it casually like it was the most normal thing in the world.
Meow, can you say this kawaii word? Okay,
And to be clear about what the R slur actually is, it is a word that has been used for decades to demean and dehumanize people with intellectual disabilities. It is not a throwaway word, and it is not something you say by accident. You know what it means when you say it. Meowbah knew exactly what it meant, and she said it anyway because a stranger in her comments told her to. The differently abled people were seriously hurt by her dehumanizing sarcasm. As a disabled person, I don't forgive Meow. When the backlash came, she uploaded an apology video on March 14th. And somehow, the apology managed to be worse than the original incident. She sat in front of the camera the entire time, loudly chewing food. And then at the very end of it, she looked into the camera and said she was sorry for offending the disabled fandom. As if people with disabilities were just another niche internet subgroup she had accidentally stepped on. Disabled fandom, disabled people aren't a fandom. The apology pulled in 5.7 million views, and the backlash did not die down as people could not believe what they were watching. She had somehow found a way to make a bad situation significantly worse by showing the world that she did not actually care what she had done wrong in the first place. And the R slur was not even the full picture of what was happening in those early weeks. On March 18th, 2022, Meowbah hit 10,000 followers on TikTok and celebrated by launching her first Discord server, which she called Kawaii Corner. And right from the beginning, screenshots and clips started circulating on TikTok of what was actually going on inside that server. She was using the N-word and the F slur freely in the chat, which may explain why she was never sorry in the first place for saying the R slur. And to make it even worse, when a voice chat recording got leaked, people were horrified by the extent of her recklessness. In it, she was telling people to literally unalive themselves. At one point, a girl in a voice call mentioned she was too shy to play piano, and Meowbah told her that shy people should unalive themselves.
Shy people are weak in the world, and they should kill themselves. Ooh?
Okay.
Yeah. Shy people just shouldn't exist. You guys are disgusting.
To anyone hearing it, the casual and carefree tone of hers came as an absolute shock. A shy person does much more good to the world than that cat girl by not doing any harm, polluting the internet with nauseating videos. She has no grounds to call shy people disgusting, even less with that voice. Soon enough, her server also ended up flooded with people posting NSFW content, and some of this content involved minors. When people started holding her accountable, she shut the whole thing down and started a new one. And if that was not enough, she also made comments on Discord about wanting to herself on people. As sickening as it all may sound, her controversial personality helped her gain 1.5 million followers on TikTok by May 2022, just 2 months after launching. And a lot of those followers were not fans at all. The anti-fandom was growing just as fast as the actual fan base, because her controversies were pulling in people who wanted to watch the chaos just as much as people who liked her content. Guys, stop hating her without me. I hate her too. And other artists in this niche were also starting to notice her behavior. Around this time, popular Minecraft YouTuber Jellybean came across Meowbah's name circulating online because people said Meowbah was cloning her. So out of curiosity, Jellybean publicly asked on Twitter who Meowbah even was, and people spammed her about everything Meowbah had been doing. She got so disgusted that her first response was to block Meowbah on the spot and post that she deeply regretted ever asking the question in the first place. This hurt Meowbah's ego, and her response to being blocked was to post about it and call Jellybean mid. So rather than reflecting on why a well-respected creator wanted nothing to do with her, she got mad. Meowbah said Jellybean was her inspiration, and after Jellybean found out, she blocked her on Twitter, and then Meowbah got mad and made a video about it. She even called Jellybean the same racist slurs that got her blocked in the first place. And running parallel to all of that was her disrespectful behavior toward Japanese culture as well. Meowbah had built her entire brand around Japanese culture, and the broken Japlish she threw off into every video. But it was so obviously run through Google Translate that people started calling her out. They labeled her as a cringy weeaboo who was fetishizing an entire culture for content without having any real connection to or respect for it. So by this point in her career, she was already established as a notorious racist creator. And the more people called her out for her disgusting antics, the more shamelessly she did them again, because her rage bait antics were pulling in millions of views. But her racism was only the tip of a much darker iceberg that most of the internet didn't know yet. Because behind all of this, she was also playing a very bizarre game with serious concepts of identity, such as color, gender, and sexuality. From the very beginning, Meowbah presented herself as a character who sits completely outside the normal rules of identity. On her official website, her lore describes her as a doll who gets reborn into each universe as something new, and because of that, she claims she does not have a race.
Meow does not have a race. Meow is a doll. Dolls don't have races, silly.
She does not have parents, and
Are Meow's parents present? Just to clarify, Meow is a doll. Therefore, Meow has no parents.
and she is ageless.
Meow's voice is natural, Vicky-chan. How old is Meowbah? Meow's over 2,000 years old. But, consider Meow ageless.
Although she does claim that she is an adult. And while that might sound like a neutral answer, it was anything but neutral in context, because she was saying it in the middle of active conversations about her using racial slurs and fetishizing Japanese culture. Claiming to have no race while using the N-word in your Discord server is not a neutral answer. And just for the sake of satire, people agreed that she had no race. She then proceeded to disrespect the black people. In one of her videos during Black History Month, she changed her avatar to black. Not only this, she said something with a very snarky tone.
Meowbah, do you have black friends? Yes.
And the title of this video was downright disrespectful, removing any doubts about whether she actually is racist. Meowbah gets burnt in the sun, and while already would be too much for most creators who get cancelled online for racism, in Meowbah's case, there is no end to it, because on June 19th, she chose to parody the Black Lives Matter movement by joking that Meowsis Lives Matter with the N-word caption on it. Similarly, her take on the LGBTQ community is even worse and more disrespectful. On one hand, Meowbah claimed various gender identities throughout 2022. But on the other hand, her actual behavior toward the LGBTQ community told a very different story. In her first video reading Discord comments, someone asked if she supported the LGBTQ community. She was audibly straining just to say the word LGBT out loud.
What are your opinions on gay people? Meow's a proud LGBT supporter.
She excluded the Q letter on purpose. Even if it was meant as a joke, it was deeply insensitive. The Pride community did not let that slide. The thing that genuinely pissed me off is that she had trouble saying that she was an LGBT supporter and fumbled about it. On her fourth Q/A video, she told her audience to vote for her for president in 2022 with the campaign motto of less gay, more pay. She did the same in 2024 too.
Vote Meow for president 2002. Our motto? Less more pay.
This was straightforwardly homophobic. Less gay, more pay. Less Meowbah, more hope for humanity. Also, Jellybean posted on Twitter on September 2020 that she had realized she was pansexual rather than bisexual. Meowbah jumped into the replies to say that bisexual and pansexual are the same thing and that pansexual was just made up for LGBTQ people to feel special. But the most damaging thing she did in this space was the cat gender and meow gender promotion. Meowbah declared herself cat gender, meaning her gender identity was tied to being a cat.
Does Meow have an age or a gender? Meow is cat gender! Yay!
She began pushing meow gender as a legitimate identity label as well. And this caused a genuinely harmful ripple effect because cat gender is actually a real xenogender that exists within neurodivergent communities. It is specifically created to help autistic individuals and those who have complicated relationships with their gender. It was never meant to be a joke. It's just sad that Meowbah is using cat gender as her gender and just making us look even worse. So understandably, the xenogender community came forward and disowned her. We distance ourselves by calling it out and making statements that we are against it. Meowbah is a terrible person for their behavior, and we do not accept them, and they do not represent the xenogender, mogai, or LGBTQ+ communities. Because when someone with over 1 million followers picks an identity up and trolls it, they hand every person who wants to mock the LGBTQ community a brand new weapon. Suddenly, cat gender became a punchline associated with Meowbah, and the real people who had been using that label seriously got caught in the crossfire of ridicule that was never aimed at them. And throughout all of this, she was also claiming to be a furry at various points. None of it was consistent or ever sincere. And the people who paid the real price for that game were the communities whose identities she was borrowing and discarding like they meant nothing.
What made you realize you were furry? Haven't you seen all those kawaii furries? Why would you not want to be one?
And just when it seemed like Meowbah could not do anything more damaging to her reputation, July 2022 happened. On June 30th, 2022, Technoblade passed away after a long battle with cancer. If you were anywhere near the Minecraft community at that time, you know exactly what that loss felt like. Technoblade was genuinely beloved by millions of people across the world for his skill and the remarkable way he carried himself through everything, including his illness. He had been open with his audience about his diagnosis and his treatment, and people had watched him keep creating content and making people laugh through all of it. His final video was uploaded by his father after his death, and it moved the internet to tears. The grief was real, and the tributes from other creators and from fans kept pouring in for weeks because people genuinely did not know how to process losing someone who had meant that much to them. So the entire Minecraft community was still very much in the middle of grieving when Meowbah decided that was the right moment for her next antic. Less than a month after his death, Meowbah drew an illustration of herself alongside Technoblade and put it on Patreon for people to pay to access. She did not post it as a free tribute, but put it behind a paywall and tried to generate income from the image of someone who had been dead for less than 30 days. And the nature of the artwork itself made the whole thing significantly worse because it was not a respectful or neutral piece in any sense of the word. It was extremely inappropriate. It made Technoblade fans extremely angry to the extent of cursing her. She even called herself Technoblade's girlfriend, which she still claims to this day. Saying you're in a relationship with a dead man you have never even been with is insane. But she did not stop at the artwork. On top of the Patreon post, Meowbah also uploaded a separate video in which she performed inappropriate acts with a Technoblade plush toy on camera. The reaction from the Minecraft community was unlike anything Meowbah had faced before. People who had never heard of Meowbah before were now learning her name for the worst possible reason. Their anger was personal for a lot of reasons. This makes me want to find Meowbah and shoot her in her dumbass face with a 12. Many people who had followed online drama for years came out and said it was one of the most disrespectful things they had ever seen a creator do to someone's legacy. And that is a high bar to clear on an internet that has seen a lot. The shameless sexualization of someone who had passed pushed some people to call her a necrophile. Meowbah issued a response on August 8th, 2022 in which she stated that she did not condone necrophilia and this is just a supportive art. The artwork never came down either. She posted her disclaimer and moved on like it was settled, and the community received that exactly as well as you would expect. In fact, she posted an apology video where she acted more non-serious than before.
Meow also apologizes for the title of my art video. Meow suffers necrophilia. Meow can't help it.
This was the moment that truly defined Meowbah's reputation. Before July 2022, she was a controversial and offensive TikToker whom a lot of people found deeply unpleasant. After July 2022, she was the person who did that to Technoblade, and no amount of cute animations or kawaii aesthetics has managed to shake that reputation since. And if the Technoblade incident was the moment that defined Meowbah's reputation in the Minecraft community, what she did with religion is what made her notorious far beyond any single fanbase. It started in 2022 during one of her Q&A videos, where someone asked her if she could beat the God Almighty of the Muslim religion. Instead of ignoring such a question that could potentially disrespect an entire belief system, she said yes without hesitation and declared herself capable of defeating Allah. She also gave herself the nickname Meowbah to go along with it.
Could you beat Allah in a fight? Of course Meow could! Meowbah! Meowbah-chan!
That disrespect alone would have been enough to cause serious backlash, but the timing made it significantly worse because the video went out on the very first day of Ramadan, which is one of the most sacred periods in the Islamic calendar. And Meowbah chose the opening day of it to announce herself as stronger than God. At the end of that same video, she told her audience that she had founded her own religion called Meowism, and that Meowism was the only real religion in existence. She preached it by telling people how they could earn the title of Meowist.
What are your opinions on religion? Meow is a Meowist, a part of the Meowism religion. Meow believes Meowism is the only real religion. Can I join Meowism? If you believe and pray to Meowbah each night, you can become one with the Meowists.
Meowbah then posted a video where she held the Quran, Holy Book of Islam, in her hands and replaced it with her own scripture, the title of which was inspired by the Bible. It made all the people mad, be it Muslims or non-Muslims, because she was not only dismissing Islam but also positioning herself as a direct replacement for it. Oh, now you're pretending to be Islam, that's not funny, dude. Then on September 13th, 2022, she uploaded a video as a full and genuine apology. It was supposed to address everything and show some kind of accountability. It did neither of those things.
But instead, Meow wants to apologize for all the disrespectful things Meow has done. Meow never meant to hurt anyone.
Instead of actually taking responsibility for any of what she had done, Meowbah spent the video working through a list of explanations for her behavior that were clearly designed to shift the blame away from herself entirely. She claimed to have mental health issues. She was placing her diagnoses between herself and accountability. She tried to manipulate her audience by saying that the things she had done were not really her fault because of conditions she had never mentioned before and has never discussed in any meaningful depth since.
Meow has bipolar disorder and DID, so many of Meow's actions were actually Meow's system altered.
And then she addressed the God controversy specifically, claiming that she had religious trauma and that this was why people should not criticize her for what she said.
Meow's tics. Meow also suffers severe religious trauma, which made Meow not lash against Allah and other believers. This was unacceptable for Meow to do.
Religious trauma is a real and painful experience that real people carry, and using it as a reason why you should be allowed to declare yourself stronger than other people's God without consequence is not how that works. And while she was apologizing, she went on to say the same thing that was disrespectful in the start.
Milky Way. And as Meowbah, God of the Milky Way, God of Meow's God of the Earth! Meow will sacrifice Meow's health to save mankind! Save you all from total annihilation and cosmic slavery!
After spending the entire runtime deflecting and excusing, Meowbah closed it by pointing her camera down from a high balcony and holding it there long enough to suggest that she was about to jump. This unsurprisingly turned out to be another cheap stunt for attention, and soon enough she was back on track, playing with people's religious sentiments. In September 2024, she posted a video of her avatar in a church with Mary on a cross song and titled it Meowbah on a Cross. The song is believed to reference Mary Magdalene, a follower of Jesus. There is even artwork of her on the cross, but all of that was still just a build-up to what happened in 2026. On March 16th, 2026, during Ramadan again, a video was posted to X allegedly showing Meowbah desecrating a copy of the Quran. The video ran for 2 full minutes and was filmed from 3 separate angles, and then she uploaded a reframed version to YouTube Shorts and TikTok describing it as a video of her reading the Holy Book.
And today, Meow's gonna be asserting Meow's dominance
as a true Muslim girl.
By da-da-da,
Praying and reading.
the Quran.
She also attached a happy Ramadan message to the post to add more disrespect and tease people, and even made an internet archive in case the video was taken down. This was seriously a targeted and Islamophobic act. The backlash went crazy. A Russian YouTuber named Jim Gold made a rant video about the incident. Seeing this, Meowbah messaged him on Discord with threatening NSFW artwork featuring both of them. Jim Gold then launched a live stream where he brought Meowbah in and pushed her to issue a public apology to Muslims. The stream is not available now, but she did not stop at the Quran. On April 9th, 2026, Meowbah desecrated Torah as well, extending the same treatment to the Jewish holy book too.
Today, the Torah. Yay! May the Jewish seek salvation in the truth of Meowsm, and praise be to the Lord Meowbah. Meow.
She also wrote Meow across both books afterward, branding them under Meowism and asserting her own identity over them. From 2022 through 2026, Meowbah returned to religious mockery over and over again, targeting all three of Abrahamic religions. I've never seen anything so ridiculous in my life. She never stopped, and she never showed anything resembling genuine remorse. So, people made artworks of themselves trolling her self-made religion. Yet when her God syndrome didn't catch enough attention, she went on to rage bait by claiming herself as a Muslim in hijab.
Happy Ramadan, yeah? Meowbah, are you Muslim? Yeah, can't you tell by the hijab? Silly Billy, mashallah.
On May 19th, 2026, she uploaded another video of converting to Islam and reciting the translation of the last chapter of the Quran.
Hola, babies! It's Meow Time the Muslim here, and today Meow wants to read Meow's favorite verse from the Holy Quran, the ending.
Bros pretending to be Muslim after starting its own cult. And talking about cult, Meowbah really has her own Meowist cult. When Meowbah announced during a video that she had founded her own religion with herself as the sole deity, most people expected it to be a one-time edgy joke that fades out within a week. What actually happened was the opposite. Meowism developed into a fully structured belief system with its own language, rituals, ranks, rules, and holy text. The religion has two recognized branches: Orthodox Meowism, which was the dominant form in 2022 and 2023, and Modern Meowism, which is what her current Discord server follows today. Orthodox Meowism had weekly church services held inside Roblox, which were filmed and uploaded to Meowbah's channel as actual content. Children logged into a video game to attend church for a pink cat girl avatar, and it was streamed to an audience. The conversion process was documented and formalized on her official website. The old orthodox method of converting to Meowism required printing out a picture of Meow-chan, placing it inside a circle of lit candles, and singing the opening theme of Puella Magi Madoka Magica. The modern conversion prayer reads like a direct parody of Islamic prayer structure, beginning with the words "All Hail, the Great Lord Meowbah," and moving through lines like "I bear witness that there is no God but Meowbah, and I will be meowtized and cleanse myself of sin in the name of Meowism, a meow." The deliberate mirroring of real religious prayer language is not accidental. It was designed to provoke the exact communities it was parodying. Within Meowism, there are also defined ranks and roles. Meowistic artists are community members who create artwork depicting their characters in Meowist uniforms and are considered deeply valued within the religion. Meowist angels are people who give Meowbah money through YouTube memberships, which tells you a lot about what the religion was actually built to do on a practical level. And there are people who genuinely participate in all of this. Fans have their own separate Meowism websites. TikTok has hundreds of thousands of posts under tags like Meowism, Meowist, Meowist and Proud, Worship Meowbah, and Meow God, with fans creating edits, artwork, conversion tutorials, and content around this made-up religion on a regular basis. Some have made satirical edits, but that just speaks for how normalized this kind of disrespect is becoming in her fandom. Her cult likes posting videos of themselves doing this and mocking people who call it rage bait content. The Meowbah fan page community is active and produces daily content that treats Meowbah as a genuine deity and Meowism as a genuine belief system worth defending. But then on the other side of that sits one of the most organized anti-fandoms on the internet. The anti-Meowism community is just as large and just as active as the Meowist community, filled with people who argue that Meowism is not a religion but a cult, that it exists purely to serve Meowbah's god complex, and that the people inside it are being manipulated by someone who has shown repeatedly that she does not care about the well-being of the people around her. This is so serious of a matter that a Reddit user said their 9-year-old sister keeps trying to convert them to Meowism, insisting it's the true religion and even showing them Meowism websites. Despite politely saying they don't share those beliefs, the sister wouldn't take no for an answer and kept pushing them to convert. And while she's brainwashing her underage fans into joining a cult, people are not even taking it seriously because they think it is a fandom. Take it seriously, 9-year-old is in a cult and your parents don't care? My parents think it's a fandom, not a cult, and they thought it was just a joke. I feel like this isn't as hilarious as people seem to think. Meowism sounds like an online cult targeted at minors, so it's probably filled with predators. It better be a phase. It wouldn't be wrong to say that Meowbah is targeting minors, specifically because over the past few years, she has done several things that raise serious concerns. For example, on February 7th, 2025, Meowbah posted a video calling out Bella the Wolf over allegations involving inappropriate behavior with minors. At first, that might make it seem like Meowbah was taking a firm stance against harmful behavior. After all, speaking out against that kind of misconduct should be a good thing. Meowbah actually changing into a good person, I never thought I'd see the day, but that image becomes much harder to accept when you look at Meowbah's own history. In October 2022, she uploaded a highly inappropriate illustration featuring herself alongside Tommy Innit. Tommy Innit was still a minor at the time. The image was not presented as harmless fan art, and the way it was framed made the situation deeply disturbing. Even worse, it was reportedly placed behind a Patreon paywall, meaning people were being asked to pay to access content involving the likeness of an underage creator. And this is where the concern becomes bigger than just one post. Because once a creator repeatedly blurs boundaries around young audiences, shock content, and adult themes, it becomes harder to dismiss each incident as a one-off mistake. That pattern appeared again in summer 2024 when Meowbah posted content on Twitter referencing singers Melanie Martinez and Timothy Heller, together with an 18+ label. The issue was not just the label itself. The problem was that Meowbah's audience has always included younger fans, and placing an adult warning on controversial content can sometimes make underage viewers more curious instead of keeping them away. But what was happening around Meowbah's community during this period was even more concerning. In July 2024, an interview was released with a former friend of Meowbah known as Tofu. In that interview, Tofu spoke about what had allegedly been happening behind the scenes, and the claims painted a much darker picture of Meowbah's online circle.
You know, that took over, people were harassing me about it, stuff like that. I was banned from the server.
According to Tofu, Meowbah had manipulated multiple people in her inner circle, using her platform and her relationships to control the people around her.
I forgot why. I felt like I was needed to, as if I was forced to, because he basically was controlling me, and I felt vulnerable.
But beyond the manipulation, the interview revealed something considerably more serious. A 13-year-old had been doxxed by someone in Meowbah's close circle.
I'm pretty sure that was when Cloak was threatening to dox me and stuff like that.
Tofu's own private images were leaked inside the Discord server without consent.
I was extorted, blackmailed, and stuff like that. So mine were leaked, and my ex-partner that I was with for a whole year before the whole Meowbah thing, people actually got in contact with him.
And Tofu had been blackmailed by someone connected to Meowbah, which eventually pushed Tofu to attempt
I was put on side watch with, not necessarily watch, but kind of I wasn't allowed to be left alone for a few weeks, so my parents were looking after me all the time.
There were also allegations that inappropriate conversations involving minors were taking place inside Meowbah's Discord server. And the bigger issue was that the server appeared to have little to no proper moderation, because when a community includes underage members, poor moderation creates a space where vulnerable users can be exposed to harmful people, unsafe conversations, and situations they should never have been placed in. Gilder Guy, an Australian YouTuber known for undercover content, went undercover on her Discord server, and what he discovered was absolute chaos with adults and minors on voice calls.
No. This guy on the top's just vibing. What's this guy on about? Okay, I think I've had enough of that voice chat. I don't think I want to go in there anymore. Alright.
That alone tells you how unsafe this server is for kids, and this was not the only incident involving a minor. In 2022, a so-called face reveal claiming to show Meowbah's real identity was uploaded to an alternate account that many people associated with her, but the video did not add up. It showed a young boy who looked nothing like what people expected, and the voice in the clip sounded completely different from the voice usually heard in Meowbah's content.
This is what I look like. Some of you guys might not have expected me to look like this, but maybe if you did, I guess Good for you.
The confusion around that video was later addressed by YouTuber Willen, who now goes by Newbie2. According to Willen, someone claiming to be Meowbah contacted him on Discord and asked for permission to use his face in a video. According to Willen, he agreed without knowing exactly how it would be used. He later discovered that his face had been featured in the supposed Meowbah face reveal, creating the false impression that he was the person behind the account.
And I wake up the next morning and I see that she linked me a video with her revealing her face, and it was just my face. It was my face reveal video, but it was just cut up to make it seem like that she was revealing her face, which was just my face.
So once again, Meowbah's name was connected to a controversy involving a minor, and once again, the situation raised serious questions about boundaries, consent, and accountability. But as we have seen by now, this was not an isolated problem. Over time, Meowbah built a reputation for jumping from one controversy to the next without appearing to think through the consequences. Whether it involved young audiences, offensive jokes, or harmful misinformation, the cycle was always the same, where she posts first, causes damage, and only deals with the backlash afterward. And one of the clearest examples of that reckless pattern was her anti-vaccination drama. On April 24th, 2022, Meowbah posted a tweet claiming that even though people around her were double vaccinated and still catching COVID-19, she had remained uninfected despite being unvaccinated. She used this as a basis to suggest the virus wasn't real and that the government was deceiving the public. It is almost ironic that just 3 days later, she tested positive again. The viewers couldn't stop laughing about it. I hope you learned something, but the COVID tweet was not just another random controversy. It showed how easily Meowbah could take a serious issue, turn it into rage bait, and then benefit from the reaction that followed. And that is why, despite everything, she is still active across the internet. Outrage has become part of her brand. People watch because they are angry. People share because they are shocked. And every time her name spreads, the cycle starts again. Some people want her banned. Some want her investigated. Some want her gone from social media completely. Others keep watching because they want to see how far it can possibly go before it finally catches up to her. But for now, Meowbah is still doing exactly what made her infamous in the first place. Only now, the controversies are louder, the backlash is bigger, and the consequences feel more inevitable than ever. Remember when Nicandros called Nux Taku out for exposing minors to corn content and even allowing them to share explicit content on his NSFW Discord server?
Many of them appear in Nux Taku's videos, sometimes back to back. So Nux Taku was profiting from their presence on the Reddit, and the attention he gave to their posts would encourage them to continue engaging with his community. Some of their posts on the Reddit mention depression, some include die, and sometimes they would be sharing and requesting the source. In one of their earliest posts, they mentioned having gotten into weird, kinky shit.
Well, that was just the tip of the iceberg. When it comes to the horrible things Nux has gotten away with over the years, where do I start this story from? Should I tell you about when he wrongfully called another VTuber a pedophile? Or when he put the safety of multiple VTubers at risk by posting a video about a stalker he had no business tracking?
We found 2 of his YouTube channels, including this video where he is actually admitting to, quote-unquote, being the best ever. Get a look at this.
See, I told you guys I was the fucking best on fucking Discord.
Maybe we should start with when he was exposed for interacting and trying to collaborate with Shadman, one of the most depraved VTubers in the industry, who got cancelled for making explicit photos of real kids. The list goes on. Over the years, Nux Taku has found himself in the middle of so many scandals that individually would have been enough to ruin any other person's YouTube career. But somehow, he managed to talk his way out of every cancellation attempt over the last decade. Well, it was all going well until now. Someone called Nux Taku out with a mountain of evidence. These weren't just opinions designed to promote a smear campaign, but hardcore facts, and there was no way Nux could talk his way out of this hole. Before I dive into the scandal that finally canceled Nux Taku, let's get some background information about how he built his career. It all started 12 years ago. Nux Taku started posting on YouTube in 2015, fresh out of high school. But he created his channel in 2014. By his own account, anime was something he couldn't talk about with anyone around him.
So when it comes to the YouTube system, I am alone when it comes to all my IRL friends. The YouTubers that I've met through this, the people that I can really talk and vent about my experiences, they've saved me.
So he built a community online instead. His early content was straightforward anime lists, analysis, and reviews. Nothing that screamed controversy magnet.
Amongst the many epic anime that premiered in the spring of 2015, one anime stood head and shoulders above the rest in popularity. Not MasterChef Jr. or Beauty and the Beast, but Twilight. Experience destruction through the eyes of the 12-year-old boy, Yu Hyakuya, as everyone above the age of 13 dies, and everyone else gets kidnapped by vampires to become their vending machine.
From day one, he studied the algorithm and knew exactly what made it tick. He took honest trailers and made honest anime trailers. He took Channel Frederator's 107 facts format and turned it into sarcastic anime facts. The formats were borrowed, but the voice was his, and it worked perfectly. By 2018, Nux Taku had crossed 100,000 subscribers and shifted gears. He started producing original analysis content, the kind that actually required him to think, not just replicate. The No One Understands series stood out immediately because it had deep character breakdowns that treated anime seriously and gave Nux Taku's audience something to chew on beyond entertainment. He expanded his niche from just anime reactions to current affairs about real-world people, choosing the most scandalous and controversial topics to feature. The biggest flexes in anime series became his real moneymaker. It was high energy, rewatchable, and perfectly timed for the shonen boom consuming YouTube in those years.
But he was holding it purely to infuriate them and let them know exactly how ahead of the game he is. Kakashi reading his dojin is just flexing on the little guys, and it's beautiful because while I originally saw that bell test as so badass, Kakashi's this epic dude with this cool mask who can even defeat Team 7 while reading a book.
He leaned into it hard, spamming the format, riding the wave all the way to 1 million subscribers by 2020. At this point, Nux Taku had it all. The love of fans, a consistent income stream, and back-to-back collaborations with the same creators who had inspired him to start. He was on top of the world, but we all know nothing lasts forever, and it was only a matter of time till the cracks started to show. 2020 marked the beginning of the end for Nux Taku, as he faced his first scandal. Nux Taku was called a racist for consistently mispronouncing Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, that was a little awkward, I am not going to lie, but it didn't stop there. Nux Taku also got called X-ist for always being overly critical of female anime characters, and when he got called out, he refused to apologize.
I don't think I did anything that warrants an apology, and therefore I, Lord D. Nuxanor, will not be apologized.
It became his thing. Nux Taku became the guy who turned every criticism into content. The chaotic and unapologetic energy was a deliberate choice, and it started to resonate with people who were tired of watching creators dismantle themselves at the first sign of online friction. He even made a song about being the uncancelable troll of anime YouTube. He wrote content about his own drama, and the strategy was working. His page kept growing until he eventually crossed 2 million subscribers on YouTube. Now, 2 million subscribers is no joke, regardless of when he hit that number. His name had weight in the industry, and he even offered to help smaller creators optimize their pages. He kept collaborating with other VTubers and was everyone's favorite.
Now, I know this isn't how I normally start my videos, but today is very special. Come on out here, Nux.
Yo, thank you for having me.
This is how people are used to seeing you, right?
Yeah, this is my normal incorporeal form that I use.
But today is a little bit different. Shall we?
Nux Taku continued to reign as the VTuber who could never be cancelled until another drama found its way to his doorstep. This time, he got caught up in a scandal with VShojo. At the time, VShojo was a dominant VTuber agency in the Western market. Iron Mouse, Nyaners, Project Melody, Zentreya, Fruit were all managed by VShojo. The company managed names with large fan bases and real cultural weight in the VTuber space. When something happened to VShojo's talents, the internet paid close attention, and something really bad happened. Someone was using fake VShojo recruitment emails to target indie VTubers. These emails were designed to harvest personal information like the receiver's real names, addresses, and stuff like that. The hacker used the information extracted to dox and swat real people. Nux received one of these phishing emails.
Someone is out there impersonating VShojo, the massive VTuber group. They tried to steal my info, dox me, and swat me, and they've successfully done this to many, many other VTubers.
He recognized it immediately for what it was. He reached out to VShojo's management and cybersecurity team to let them know he had been targeted. The team told him that an active investigation was already ongoing to find out who was responsible for the impersonation and malicious emails. Hey Nux, I was able to get in touch with Saki and get the header information we needed from the email through her, so don't worry about pulling it from yours anymore. Thanks though for your help so far. A few things my security team wanted to communicate to you, though. They wanted to make sure you are aware that this individual impersonating VShojo is driven by attention and is afraid that your tweets or any potential content you make, shining a larger light on this, would further encourage them to target you, VTubers, including VShojo members, and others. This is particularly important as the person has not been arrested yet, and we are trying to assist the police. And we are afraid of interfering with a police investigation. Just wanted to make sure this was passed along. Let me know if you have any questions though. Nux responded to the message saying, "Thank you for passing this along. I didn't want to give out any details for this reason, but I didn't want any other VTubers falling prey to this, which is why I left it vague. I also am working with law enforcement and have made a lot of headway in locating him. Rather than step back and let the investigation run, Nux launched his own parallel investigation and started deliberately feeding false information to the phishing email address in a bid to track the attackers' responses and expose them. During the investigation, he shared the draft with VShojo's cybersecurity and management team. They were actively involved in the process, fact-checking, suggesting edits, and providing input. He showed them the video before it was published, and they approved. VShojo's official Twitter account even posted a thank you message to Nux after the video went live. He uncovered the scam and revealed the identity of the malicious actor.
We found 2 of his YouTube channels, including this video where he is actually admitting to, quote-unquote, being the best ever. Get a look at this.
See, I told you guys I was the fucking best on fucking Discord.
This is the most horrible thing you'd ever hear. Do you realize that people die of swatting?
The video spread fast. It named the individual behind the phishing scheme, exposed how the attacks worked, and framed the whole thing as a public warning for indie VTubers who might be vulnerable. For about 24 hours, the response was exactly what you would expect from a video that had just protected a community. NUX received praise from everyone. I mean, he was exposing a malicious actor who was putting people at risk. Surely his heart was in the right place. Unfortunately, not everyone saw it that way. Some of VShojo's talents went public and pointed out something so many others missed. By making a video about the attacker, Nux was giving him notoriety that may embolden him to double down on his attacks, putting others at risk. VTubers under the agency were not happy about this. Project Melody had this to say on X. "I'm hurt. Nux posted his doxing video. He flagrantly disregarded our team's feelings and the facts our security department shared with him. I trusted and defended him, only to feel secondary to getting clicks. If he meant to raise awareness to protect streamers, he would have corrected it." At this point, VShojo threw Nux under the bus. They deleted the thank you message to Nux and released a statement on Medium claiming that they never gave Nux the approval to post a video, and even shared private messages making it clear that any public video about the situation will put their talent in danger. The statement had the following key points. VShojo never at any point said that he had permission, nor were we asked. VShojo was given limited time to suggest edits and create a statement. Politeness in Twitter reply text was misconstrued as approval/endorsement. Notes are written in a polite manner, but are critical of the information Nux covered in the video. Suggestions for edits were ignored, beyond blurring of some names. Timestamps were provided with our feedback on edits. They also shared screenshots to suit their narrative of how things went down. Okay, sure, I'm all ears. I don't paint VShojo in a bad light in this video at all. It's all about the asshole swatting people and how information was gathered as a deterrent for others. Phoenix responded, saying, "The problem with making anything public at the time was that the bad actors, being motivated by attention seeking, would only have been energized by public mentions and fear surrounding the activity they were doing. They want to be notorious, and one goal of the work was to deny them that satisfaction." Nux replied, "I'm aware. At the end of the day, I believe the whole thing was a case of miscommunication. VShojo management approved the video without looping in their own talent. And when the talent reacted negatively, with genuinely valid concerns about their safety, management reversed its position and left Nux out to dry. All the while, VShojo's talents were operating on the assumption that Nux had gone rogue against their wishes." Nux pulled the video down after 3 days. He posted an apology along with Discord evidence proving that VShojo management was in the loop.
Yo all, I am sorry. I messed up, and I would like to give you a timeline of events, but it does not right any of the wrongs that I've made. A month ago, a guy was impersonating VShojo, doxing and swatting VTubers, and came really close to getting me. I got swatted once in the past and it scarred me. People die in these situations, and coming close to it happening again terrified me. When I brought this to the attention of VShojo, they told me that they knew this was going on for a while, never said anything publicly, and as a result of that, I felt like VShojo put me and others at risk. Before posting that video, I was in a group chat with the CEO of VShojo, one of the girls, and the head cybersecurity officer.
Some talents still expressed their disappointment after the video was taken down. Haim Hajime said, "Nux, though I'm relieved you private the video, I am still beyond disappointed. The girls begged for days for it to be removed out of fear for their safety, and it truly boggles my mind how you could put your own video over your friends' feelings when they are directly involved." After the scandal, Nux was cut out of VShojo circles. Of course, V Shoujo would eventually be buried under a mountain of scandals of its own, but I'll talk about that some other time. The drama left people with a question. Was Nux a well-meaning creator who made a single mistake, or was he someone who always chased clout at the expense of the safety of others? Well, the next controversy Nux would get involved in would provide a clear answer to that question. And this time, there was no way to explain away the situation. A situation he would eventually refer to as the biggest mistake of his career. In 2022, Nux hosted a live stream with Moist Critical, Charlie, Penguin Zero, a creator with over 15 million subscribers at the time. He now has about 18 million, but that's by the way. In the stream, they discussed an ongoing VTuber drama concerning Bungo Taiga, a femboy VTuber. Charlie came into the discussion fresh. He didn't know the landscape, the figures, or the histories and relied on Nux's narration. During the stream, Nux made a statement that reached one of the largest audiences on YouTube. He said Taiga was a P-file.
Is this HoloLive?
No, Taiga is an indie streamer who, I don't know the whole story, but Taiga was outed to be a...
In the same breath, he acknowledged he didn't know the full details of the situation. And then he kept going. I mean, before you make such a career-ending and life-changing allegation, you should definitely have your facts right. And the fact was that Taiga's accusations had been engineered by former moderators who had developed romantic feelings for Taiga, been rejected, and responded by building a months-long smear campaign to cancel him. The so-called evidence they produced included screenshots stripped of context, fabricated documents, and direct messages from when Taiga was 19, reframed to look as incriminating as possible. Taiga had a fraction of the platform Nux and Charlie shared. Charlie's audience alone was enormous. Millions of people heard this person is a file in a casual, conversational context that made it sound like a fact. And as you would expect, they started harassing Taiga. The smear campaign lasted for years until Taiga eventually lost everything. When people called him out, Nux pinned a comment under the video, apologizing for his role in spreading the malicious lie. He also apologized to Taiga privately over direct messages. Taiga had made it clear that the private apology wasn't enough. Nux had, according to Taiga, promised a public correction, maybe another video with Charlie, given the size of the original audience that was misled. But Nux never made the video and just moved on with his life, while Taiga was forced to live with the consequences of the smear campaign. By 2024, the Taiga situation was still being dragged into every Nux conversation, and he didn't like that.
Well, let's play this clip right here.
Yeah, I just got a comment there. Let me show you. This is a wild one. All right, like, funny seeing someone talking about something being bullshit while also being the person who deplatformed and destroyed someone's life over false allegations with no evidence and doing zero research. All right, this is obviously talking about Bungo Taiga. I up with the Bungo Taiga thing. I am sorry for it, and I have apologized multiple times in private, in public, on my podcast. I have apologized multiple times because I said that, I don't know the full story, but he's a file instead of an alleged file after he left the internet for like 5 months. Then he came back. Okay? I made a mistake. This was 2 years ago. And I took accountability for it multiple times. But for some reason, this guy, I know I'm going after one commenter, but I've gotten like thousands of comments about this. Like, you think I deplatformed him? People are blaming me for deplatforming him? He got banned for actual content.
Nux wasn't directly responsible for Taiga's YouTube termination. That bit is true, but he handled the situation with a lack of empathy that viewers didn't like. It's not okay to simply say you're sorry after you've ruined someone's life. So many viewers expected him to do more. One person said, the fact that he's seething this much over comments on his videos. Imagine how Taiga feels whenever he's being stalked and harassed by the people Nux enabled with his slander. Nobody is saying he is solely responsible, but he played a big role in Taiga's currently dire situation. Rumors spread like wildfire. Being labeled a predator isolates him from associating with other VTubers and creators and enables stalkers and harassers on the double. And Nux has the audacity of bitching that he's being inconvenienced by people calling him out over the truckload of gasoline he threw onto the metaphorical fire. Eventually, the whole Taiga situation died down, but it didn't take long for Nux to get entangled in yet another controversy involving Shadman. Shadman was an online artist notorious for producing sexually explicit content, including, and this is the relevant part, sexually explicit art of real. He had over 300,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, Sandbase. Shadman got a lot of backlash when he made all fan art of YouTuber Daniel Keemstar's daughter. Now, you may be wondering what any of this has to do with Nux.
Shadman likes to take it as a personal challenge to draw everything. And if he has not drawn a certain character or real life person yet, he's gonna. Shadman drew of 11-year-old at the time. Lieutenant Corbus, who's a YouTuber, also drew Keemstar's daughter, President Trump, also underage. also child actresses, also, he's a neo-Nazi. There is so much to unpack about Shadman.
Well, in 2024, Ava Chris Tyson, a former MrBeast host who admitted to sending explicit photos to a 13-year-old when she was 20, got into a major controversy that eventually led to her losing her job. During that time, someone made a list of people closely associated with Shadman because of his relationship with Tyson. And guess whose name was on that list? Yes, you guessed right, Nux. The list wasn't hard to believe since Nux himself had admitted in previous videos that he had some private discussions with Shadman.
I was talking to Shadman. That's a weird, yeah. And,
that's a way to start a sentence.
That's a way to start a sentence. And he has some interesting takes on Gardevoir.
He can keep them. I don't think I need to hear them.
Yeah, they're weird. Dude, honestly, it was the weirdest conversation I've ever had in my life. Like, through DMs. I didn't speak to him, like, voice, but it was the weirdest conversation I've ever had in my life.
I don't think you could have a normal conversation with a guy like Shadman.
Oh my lord, Shadman. Oh my god. I'm scrolling through the DMs. There are a few things that he said that were interesting.
Beyond having private conversations with Shadman about a possible collaboration, Nux had also used Shadman's art in a video thumbnail. Although he did say it was an accident and he didn't know the art belonged to Shadman. He claimed that the art came in via a fan submission and that he hadn't recognized the source. He changed the thumbnail once it was flagged during the Ava Chris Tyson scandal. When Nux got called out, he explained that he only reached out to Shadman for collaboration to roast him on his channel and referenced other situations where he used the same pattern. An ex-user asked for clarification. Good faith question, hoping you can clarify. So you didn't know the extent of his shit then, but were going to grill him at the same time? If you did get that collab, what would you grill Shad on? From what I remember, he was known as the guy who drew ex-Yuli. You didn't know that? The rare good faith question. I knew about the lowly stuff and some of his art, like the best with fictional etc. Definitely enough to grill the guy. I didn't know about Keemstar's daughter. I do feel like that's a less important part of my tweet though. I collaborated with an anime voice actor to show him terrible dubs, but they were all his own work. I collabed with the producer of One Piece live action to show him lots of terrible live action adaptations and prove why I thought One Piece would suck. The issue wasn't that Nux secretly liked Shadman. The problem was how it looked. Nux had built his reputation on speaking out against the worst parts of anime and internet culture while also being in contact, even if it was casual, with someone who openly creates illegal content involving real children. It was bad, but still manageable since Nux seemed to have a good explanation for almost everything. The thing is, the Shadman situation propelled other creators to look more deeply into Nux's content history, and they found something disturbing. Leprechaun has been one of the most heated topics in anime culture for years. This makes sense since Leprechaun characters are often portrayed as adolescent girls, sometimes in Wally explicit contexts. On one side, there are people who argue that characters are a purely aesthetic style choice, unconnected to real-world harm. On the other side, there are people who say any sexualization of characters drawn to look like is deranged, regardless of their fictional nature.
Gone bad, that sexualization of childlike traits is bad, and that it's, you know, it's pretty unhealthy to be into it, and finding attractive is an unhealthy thing. It is an abnormal attraction, right?
Nux had a sketchy stance on the matter. There were times when he said enjoying con doesn't make a person a predator.
They're lollies, which I have absolutely nothing against. I don't think anyone has anything against lollies.
I do. It's gross. It's like a child.
It was also revealed that Nux featured con content in some of his earlier videos but had quietly deleted or edited them. One particular video stood out after the Shadman situation.
Okay, like Chibidoki or Megumin from Konosuba or Gura. Nothing has anything against.
Nux's defense was that these were all old videos. He said he found the content genuinely distasteful even then, but only talked about it because of the shock value. To make matters worse, Mutahar, who had been collaborating with Nux for years, posted a video titled Post-Nux Clarity. He talked about stepping back from Nux as something that required a moment of lucidity, a clearing of the fog.
But to go back to it, Nux Taku is a former collaborator, a former friend of mine, and I mean really a former friend of mine, because some of the stuff that I've seen over here is disgusting enough that I really can't continue a friendship, and I really can't, like, again, excuse some of my behavior watching some of this content as well.
Mutahar cited the Con reaction video, the Shadman thumbnail, and the accumulation of concerns he had been watching. What made the Mutahar betrayal of Nux significant wasn't just its public nature, it was the source. This wasn't an outside critic. This wasn't some parasocial feud. It was someone who had been in the room and had access to the version of Nux that the camera didn't catch. And now, he was saying he regretted ever collaborating with Nux.
I'm sorry to say it really did blindside me. There was a bias, call it, friendship bias, call it, there was other creators working on it, but really it was something that I was putting up a blind spot to, and I'm not using that as an excuse. I really shouldn't have done that collaboration, and I really shouldn't have watched that content, and
Mutahar later deleted the video and privately reconciled with Mutahar, which further complicated the narrative. Apparently, he was bullied into making the video, or that was what he told Nux at least.
Muta deleted his video, posted a community post, and then called me, and apologized. And yeah, anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Basically, the TLDR is people bullied Muta into making a hit piece on me.
While Mutahar folded, there was another person who called out Nux, and this time, the allegations were more damning. There was no going back. In February 2026, years after most of the controversies we've discussed had settled into background noise, Nicandros dropped a video titled, Exposing Nux Taku's EPI Empire Part 1. The video was long and detailed, but the highlight was that Nux's Discord server, which required members to be at least 16 years old, contained NSFW channels that were accessible to members, and Nux had been in a position to know the member's age but let it slide for financial gain.
Had Nux Taku checked their profile when this screenshot was taken, he would have seen this comment. This child was not a one-time poster. Between October 2019 and August 2020, they made 160 posts to the Reddit. Many of them appear in Nux Taku's videos, sometimes back to back. So Nux Taku was profiting from their presence on the Reddit, and the attention he gave to their posts would encourage them to continue engaging with his community. Some of their posts on the Reddit mention depression, some include and sometimes they would be sharing and requesting the source.
On top of that, Nux's main YouTube channel has many viewers as young as 13. That channel used suggestive thumbnails that came close to breaking YouTube's rules. Worse, it went against what Nux himself says he believes in, which is keeping adult content away from younger viewers.
I can demonstrate that it was absolutely undeniable that Nux Taku knew that children were watching his content.
The evidence from Nicandros was overwhelming, and Nux couldn't casually explain away the situation as he had always done. I mean, Nux was a moderator on a channel that was literally a hunting ground for G-rumors and predators. He responded by pointing out how age verification on platforms like Discord and Patreon is difficult to uphold due to the size of these communities. He also referred to the allegations as disingenuous and slanderous.
People are accusing you of being a file because of a Discord. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that a bit today. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to be rude. You know what? We'll save it for when I talk about it. We'll save it for when I talk about it. It might have been one of the most disingenuous, slanderous campaigns ever. But we'll talk about it a bit. It's unbelievable, to be honest. It really is. It's like, oh, a guy got in the Discord, which is fucking awful, don't get me wrong, and I'm really sorry if I contributed to that at all. It's really fucking awful. But I really didn't contribute to that much at all, to be honest. Like, if we were being honest.
Viewers weren't buying it this time. The Reddit threads discussed the matter in detail. One user pointed out an instance recorded in the video where Nux asked all his subscribers to search for and send him the most depraved, explicit content they could find, knowing fully well that a chunk of his audience were underage. Bro, that contest for his fans to email him the most fucked up they can find is unhinged. There's absolutely no shot. He doesn't know. He explicitly made his Discord open to minors and labeled his corn reviews PG-13, and then showing the email addresses where any predator could find them. Like, at best, it is beyond reckless and irresponsible, and just brain broken. At worst, it's minors and serving them up on a platter. I knew Nux was a weirdo, but holy shit, WTF is going on? Edit, I had not yet gotten to the part about the other Discord. He absolutely knew he was serving this shit to kids, jail. And this dude had the gall to go after Ava Chris Tyson when he had his own Discord server full of kids? What the Nicandros video did, more than anything else, was close the remaining gap between Nux's public identity and what he tried to push as reality. It wasn't so hard to believe though. Long before the video was released, there were already multiple red flags about Nux, including his interest in inappropriate content. Do you remember the Interspecies Reviewers situation? Interspecies Reviewers was an anime so explicit in its entire premise that Funimation dropped their licensing deal after a single episode. That decision didn't sit well with the anime community. They saw the decision as censorship, and when Funimation announced they were pulling it, multiple creators made videos about it. Nux also made a video praising the show and rallied his fanbase to rate it a 10 out of 10 on My Anime List as a collective troll on anime elitists.
Interspecies Reviewers. And yes, It's as good as it sounds! So I know a lot of people have been giving garbage to this series for, well, not exactly falling into the very, very broad guidelines of the social justice warrior movement, but I'll tell you what it's about and why it is absolutely the greatest thing anime has done in a long, long time.
His audience followed his lead, along with people who were genuinely angry about Funimation's decision. The volume of votes pushed the show to the #2 position on MAL's all-time rankings, briefly displacing Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood from the top spot. Mal's moderation team had to reverse thousands of reviews manually. The site threatened legal action against Nux. Then it came out that Mal was generating over $600,000 a year in revenue and paying its mod team nothing. The public narrative flipped. Nux came out of the situation largely intact and, in some corners, celebrated for accidentally exposing a platform for exploiting volunteer labor. He always found a way to come out unscathed from every controversy. I mean, it's been over a decade since Nux Taku started creating content, and during this time, there have been multiple scandals. While many people have voiced their concerns about his attitude and the type of content he's been promoting, Nux still has a loyal fan base that eats out of his palms. At the peak of his career, he had about 2.1 million subscribers, but at the time this video was published, he had about 1.96 million subscribers. So, I guess the tide is changing slowly but surely. If Nux genuinely adjusts his behavior, there's a chance he can fully recover and continue his career as if nothing had happened. But if he keeps getting himself into trouble, he may end up permanently cancelled like the next VTuber on my list. Lumisarbon should have been just another small creator in the online art community. At first, she was known for speed paints, anime-style drawings, and a quiet little audience that seemed to genuinely connect with her work. But over time, that innocent image started falling apart, because behind the cute art style and constantly changing usernames and personas was a pattern that followed Lumi across almost every corner of the internet she entered. Every time controversy caught up to her, a new identity seemed to appear. Every time people asked for accountability, there was always a new explanation, a new crisis, or a new reason they were suddenly supposed to feel sorry for her.
Of a mental situation. So I have autism and depression and anxiety, but I also have borderline personality disorder.
And what started as a petty art community drama slowly turned into something much darker. Private information being leaked, fake accounts used to destroy people's lives, pregnancy claims that kept falling apart, SA allegations that later raised even more questions.
I really want to make it clear here that I was fine with the sex. I was not raped.
And medical tragedies from cancer to sewer slide that somehow appeared whenever her reputation was at its lowest. So while many people only know Lumisarbon today as Ruxinatux, Bonibu, or just another controversial VTuber, the full story shows something far more disturbing. But to understand it, we have to go back to where her internet career actually started. Long before she was known as Ruxinatux, Bonibu, or a controversial VTuber, Lumi first joined the YouTube art community on December 24, 2013. At the time, her channel was fairly innocent. She mostly posted anime-style speed paints, often drawing her own OCs, while occasionally making tutorials and sharing her art on Twitter, and for a while, her art-based personality connected with viewers, and her channel eventually grew past 17,000 subscribers. But even in these early days, it was obvious that Lumi had a taste for drama. One of the earliest examples came through another art YouTuber, Madame, aka Princess Ash. At the time, Madame was already a controversial figure in the community after getting cancelled for stealing work of other artists, some of whom were minors. And because that drama was getting significant attention from the internet, Lumi saw it as an opportunity. She came forward as one of Madame's victims, claiming Madame betrayed her by refusing to pay for her art.
How was it, like, during the experience? Did you expect to get paid?
I did expect to be paid, and I never got paid, so...
That sucks, I'm sorry.
It was actually pretty good. Like, all our friends were really nice, and she was nice to me. It's just...
Naturally, this gained her massive sympathy and got her into the spotlight. But this story fell apart when a VTuber named Honeyfu interviewed Madame a few weeks later. She revealed that Lumi's exploitation story was a total twist of facts. At first, Lumi had only made fan art for Madame without ever mentioning that she expected to get paid for it. Then out of nowhere, she tried to guilt trip Madame into paying her because she wanted money to meet her long-distance boyfriend. So once people realized Lumi had inserted herself into a drama that didn't really belong to her, several members of the community began calling her out on X. Looking back now, this was one of the earliest warning signs that Lumi thrived on drama, and it set the stage for the chaos she would pull on next. Because in 2014, another red flag surfaced. She would allegedly commission small artists for their work and then publicly insult the art the moment she had a personal falling out with them. In other words, she would buy someone's work just to use it against them later. And the irony was that while Lumi was publicly judging other creators' talent, she wasn't exactly playing fair with her own work either. As it turned out, Lumi was accused of copying art styles and tracing other artists' work, with one of the most well-known allegations coming in 2015 from a creator called Puppet, who claimed Lumi had copied some of her famous art pieces. But Lumi never clearly denied the allegations or gave a convincing response. And as more people turned against her, she began losing subscribers before eventually deleting the channel altogether. However, this wasn't the end of her internet career. In fact, her worst behavior was yet to come, because the internet may have thought she was gone for good, but in 2017, she returned with a completely new identity. This time, she entered the gaming community, called herself Lucas, and started using the online persona Ruxinatux. Her channel was dedicated to Minecraft videos. At first, this looked like a simple fresh start, but over the course of a decade, Lumi would go on to make many conflicting claims about her gender and rebrand herself every few months. In one of her later videos, Lumi confessed to have changed her name 12 times in a single year.
I wanted to tell you guys that I changed my name again. I know, I've changed my name over 12 times this year only, so just keep with me here.
She claimed that she was diagnosed with gender dysphoria and she didn't understand what her gender actually was.
I don't know what my gender is. I have been diagnosed with gender dysphoria, so I am supposed to be a trans guy or non-binary masculine, because I hate, like, being a female. I've always felt more like a boy or non-binary or something around that. So I don't really know what I am. I'm still trying to figure it out. I hope you guys can respect that.
But at that point, she said she preferred to be called Lucas because anything else made her feel dysphoric.
This one is gonna be a juicy one. Hello everyone, my name is something, I don't know what to call myself. I get really dysphoric when I call myself Lumi or something, so I'm just not gonna do that. So hello everyone, my name is Lucas and welcome back to a whole new video.
Then she contradicted herself in a later video by calling herself Luna or Lumi. She explained that she wasn't actually the person she thought she was.
Hello everyone, my name is Lumisarbon and welcome back to a whole new video. So I know this is probably really weird for you to see me like this again and stuff like that, and yeah, it's a little weird for me too. Then who I really am. It made me realize that I'm not the person I thought I was.
She also said that she hated being female and had always felt like a boy. Her plan was to start hormone therapy soon and then look into getting surgery once she was 18.
Gotten the diagnosis of gender dysphoria. I don't have the paper since they're still mailing it to me, but yeah, I gotten that, so that's cool. And I'm planning on starting hormones now in the fall. I'm also getting top surgery when I'm 18 and then other surgeries when I'm a little older.
Then came another twist. In a later video, she claimed to have multiple personality disorder, explaining that Lucas and Lumi were just different personalities sharing her body.
And for those who have followed me for a long time, you know that I used to identify as a male. That is one of my personalities called Lucas, and then I have Lumi.
But what made this entire situation even more bizarre was the hypocrisy surrounding it. You would think that all this confusion about her gender would make her kind towards other people with similar struggles. Yet she had been seen displaying extreme transphobia towards the trans community. She'd tell others that your brain isn't supposed to just switch from male to female, even though her own identity, by her own explanation, seemed to change every few months. Not only was this behavior extremely problematic and hateful, but it also made people question if she had even been honest about her own gender struggles. And that hypocrisy did not stop with transphobic comments. Around the same time, Lumi was also frequently fatphobic toward people online, using their appearance as another easy target whenever she wanted to attack someone. Aside from public posts, Lumi was also causing drama among her friends. During the Minecraft phase, Lumi became friends with another VTuber called iMilky. At first, the two seemed close. Lumi got along with him well enough to design his entire channel aesthetic, from his banner to his profile picture, but eventually, that friendship also collapsed into controversy. In 2018, Lumi released an expose on her YouTube channel, accusing iMilky of displaying inappropriate behavior around minors. She shared screenshots of his chats, which showed him forcing an alleged underage girl to talk to him and send him selfies. And to be clear, the problem here was not that Lumi exposed him, because as it turned out later, iMilky actually had a prior record as a convicted predator, which Lumi herself was unaware of at the time. But once the story blew up, it also pushed Lumi straight back into the spotlight. Her video gained traction, the controversy spread through the community, and once again, her subscriber count skyrocketed. In retrospect, exposing iMilky was pretty much the only objectively good thing Lumi would ever do on the internet, because from this moment forward, everything she touched turned into a total nightmare. 2019 was the year Lumi's controversies started escalating far beyond petty community drama. At first, it centered around her own ex-friends, and by far the most extreme case involved Castiel. Castiel, also known as Cass or Sergeant Pink, was another VTuber from the same community. She had become friends with Lumi during her early YouTube years, back when Lumi was already facing backlash from the art community for her manipulative behavior. However, their friendship didn't last long because Castiel allegedly was the one who started exposing Lumi for her manipulative behavior. The fallout sparked a new obsession for Lumi, and she began harassing Castiel online. It started with a wave of hateful comments and posts online, but what might have started as a petty online grudge soon spun out of control as Lumi's behavior became completely unhinged. With the help of her then boyfriend Matt, Lumi allegedly made an account called Exposing Castiel and used it to completely dox Castiel, leaking her home address, her personal pictures, and even photos of her family online for anyone to see. To make matters worse, Lumi started using the leaked information in the real world, constantly sending unsolicited pizzas to Castiel's house just to harass her. As the situation escalated and Castiel realized she couldn't handle it alone anymore, so her friends approached Lumi to try and reason with her. But when asked why she would go to such extremes to bully Castiel, instead of showing an ounce of remorse, Lumi doubled down and said she found it funny. From there, things took a potentially dangerous turn when Lumi actually tried to swat Castiel's house. If you're unfamiliar with the term, swatting is one of the most malicious things you can do to someone online. It involves fabricating a high-stakes crisis, such as a hostage situation, to send a heavily armed police force to someone's house, and it can easily turn into a tragedy. The only reason Lumi didn't succeed was that she lived in Sweden, and calling a SWAT team across state lines requires a lot more verified information than just a basic home address, which ultimately saved Castiel from a potentially fatal situation. A few months into the controversy, a YouTuber called Toastify interviewed Castiel to hear her side. She revealed that Lumi had used her ex-friends, whom she didn't get along with anymore, to get her private information and doxed her more than 20 times. What Lumi started as a sick joke online ended up affecting Castiel so deeply that it completely altered her life. She was allegedly diagnosed with PTSD and had developed suicidal tendencies. By this point, the situation had become far too dangerous for the community to ignore. A massive wave of backlash hit Lumi, and an organized awareness account was created on X to keep track of all of Lumi's alt accounts and to document every terrible thing she'd done to make sure nobody else fell victim to her. Lumi spent a long time trying to downplay what she'd done, but once she realized the internet had completely turned against her, she went for the easiest escape route she could think of and threatened to take her own life. But this time, Lumi found herself completely backed in the corner and realized there was no way out. So eventually, she dropped an apology thinking it would magically erase all the terrible things she had done. In that apology, she admitted to doxing Castiel, leaking her private information, including her face, name, and home address. She also admitted that she had been unfair to Castiel and wanted to apologize sincerely, which at first sounded genuine, but soon the narrative took another turn for the worse. Because not long after posting the apology, Lumi went live and started walking back the very thing she had just admitted to. She tried to argue that her leaking Castiel's pictures didn't count as real doxing because those pictures were public.
Was her address and some pictures of her. Now these pictures are obviously already public, so that couldn't be the doxing part because she has posted those before.
She completely left out the part about sharing Castiel's family's photos online. She even said that posting her address online wasn't a big deal either because Castiel had supposedly made it public on X anyway.
The address had already been public on Twitter and stuff, so I didn't really think it was that.
And in the same stream, Lumi tried to defend herself by saying she had only shared the address privately with one of Castiel's close friends. But almost immediately, that defense contradicted itself because Lumi also admitted that Castiel had never confirmed that friendship.
And the address thing I only sent to one of her close friends. She can say that they weren't close, but the other friend told me they were close.
So in reality, she handed a leaked address to someone Castiel never personally trusted. Unsurprisingly, the stream didn't help Lumi's case at all. It's a never-ending cycle with her. Feel better soon. Lumi really has lost her mind. In her videos, she always talks like everything is okay. By this point, nobody in the community wanted to associate with her. The apologies weren't working anymore, and the defenses she put up for her actions were so obviously laughable that people just mocked her. The mouth noises and the tone makes my blood boil. This is a tale of a true pathological liar and stalker. She had run out of excuses to defend herself, but right when it seemed like Lumi had nowhere left to turn, she escalated the situation in a way that crossed another line. A week later, Lumi went live again and started talking about wanting to take her life while briefly mentioning supposed sewer slide attempts she had made in the past.
Hello everyone, it's Lucas. I didn't want to make this video. I really didn't, but I think it's a good time to do. I've tried to commit before, a few times, 4 to be exact. All of them failed. When I tried to hang myself, when my mom caught me, I was sent to the mental hospital but got out quickly. Another time I tried to overdose, it didn't work. Another time I tried to didn't work. And the last time I'm not gonna talk about, but this time I'm gonna make sure I do it.
Considering her past pattern, it was hard to not think of this stream as another stunt to gain sympathy. But since she had used this tactic so many times, nobody took it seriously. And for the last time, stop sewer slide baiting goddamn Lou. Then, conveniently enough, a new account named Milo just appeared out of thin air. This Milo person would then reach out to Lumi's mutual friends, telling them he had been Lucas's IRL friend since childhood, and had just received the news that Lucas had died. From the start, something about this story didn't feel right, but nobody could figure it out just just what it was. Then Milo went a step further and posted a screenshot of an article supposedly reporting the sewer slide of a trans teenager in Sweden. And that was when the cracks in the story started showing up. The screenshot couldn't be traced back to a single trusted news outlet in Sweden. There was no newspaper logo, no broadcasting channel, no author, no editor, and not even a date. The headline sounded dramatic, unlike official newspapers, but the biggest red flag was Milo himself. For years, Lumi had claimed she had no IRL friends, yet suddenly, right when her reputation was at its lowest, an alleged childhood friend appeared to announce her death. So as people looked closer, they started reaching the same conclusion. Lumi was pretending to be her own imaginary friend so she could spread the news of her fake death. And if that was true, it meant she had staged the entire thing too. Once again, gained sympathy from the same people she had repeatedly hurt. But once Lumi realized people weren't buying the story, she gave things another twist. This time, she posed as her own mother and began messaging the people who were still worried about her. Some of them told Lumi's mom about the suspicious article and pointed her toward the post where the claim about her death had been debunked. But rather than clearing anything up, Lumi, and still speaking through the role of her mother, acted concerned for her own child while blaming everyone else for what had happened. So even inside a situation where Lumi was being accused of fabricating her own death, the story somehow turned back into everyone else being the problem. And while most of the community had already turned against her, there was still one creator who tried to defend her. That creator was Honeyfu. During the backlash in April 2020, Honeyfu uploaded a video titled "Why I Still Support Lumisarbon," where she argued that Lumi was still a teenager, that people make serious mistakes at that age, and that what she needed was help and forgiveness.
I know she has done some fucked up shit. I still support her. I support her because everybody deserves a helping hand and forgiveness.
She also tried to frame the situation as something Lumi could learn from, saying that practically everyone finds themselves at fault in a bad situation at least once, and that Lumi simply wanted to move forward.
We've all been into some sort of situation of drama, whether it was when we were 12, whether it was when we were 14, or whether it was when we were 16. We've all been into bad situations when it was our fault.
Needless to say, the comments under the video were not at all in Lumi's support. I don't recall ever doxing people when I was 14 or faking sewer slide 17 times. I'm sorry, but I disapprove your reasons to support Lumi. You can't fix her cause she's fucked up beyond belief about threats and racism, which is not obligated to comfort her. Please make the right choice and stay away from Lumi. Still, Honeyfu didn't walk away immediately. She later interviewed Lumi directly, giving her a chance to respond to the controversies herself. Although Honeyfu kept the comments turned off to protect Lumi from immediate backlash, the interview clearly didn't change the community's mind. And once Lumi saw that could no longer help repair her image, their relationship started falling apart too. According to Honeyfu, Lumi began mistreating her and her friends, which eventually made Honeyfu withdraw her support.
She's been treating everyone, including me, around me, like shit. She's been cursing at everybody.
Then, just like what had allegedly happened with Castiel, Lumi was accused of doxing Honeyfu after Honeyfu spoke publicly about her behavior.
To me, and I have multiple of my fans and friends giving me proof on her doxing me. She made a Discord server and she's banned both me and 3 other people for just existing in her server.
After that, Honeyfu officially cut ties and said she no longer believed that Lumi would ever become a better person.
So, no. Do I believe that she's sorry? Do I believe that she's gonna become a better person? Not really. I wish I did. I really, really wish I did because I was such a big fan of her.
Unlike Castiel, Honeyfu didn't let herself get dragged into a never-ending war. She dropped her final video about Lumi and walked away right then and there, but unfortunately, Honeyfu and Castiel were not the only people pulled into Lumi's chaos during this period. Another person caught in it was Light, a friend Lumi had been close enough with to regularly play Minecraft with. But when their friendship fell apart in early 2020, Lumi responded by uploading a video titled "My Ex-Best Friend Light," in which she accused her of some really nasty things. She started off by revealing that Light had PTSD, a diagnosis Light had discussed with her in private.
So we started talking, and right off the bat she told me like, hey, I have PTSD and stuff, and that is totally cool. I got PTSD too. So I was like, okay, yeah.
Then went on throwing allegations like by accusing Light of dating a 13-year-old boy when she herself was 18.
After months of talking about wanting to have a boyfriend. And this guy he was 13 and she was 18. That's not okay. That's not okay. That's where my line went. And I was like, you should not talk to this person. Like, that is really weird.
But almost immediately, Lumi weakened her own accusation by admitting she wasn't actually sure whether the boy was 13 or 18.
I don't know if he was 16 or 13. If he was 16, then I would understand it because the 4-year rule. But if he was 13, then that's not okay. Don't do that. But I can't say for 100%.
And because the claim was so serious, people were not willing to accept it without evidence. Light demanded that Lumi show proof, but instead of backing up what she had said, Lumi tried to reframe the entire video as a casual story time, claiming it wasn't really an expose at all, but a fictional story made for entertainment. But that raised the obvious question: why would you use someone's real-life identity for a fictional story? Lumi's excuse was that Light had blocked her on every social media platform without any explanation. Because she didn't know how else to reach out, she genuinely thought publishing this story was the best way to get her attention.
I don't know what to do, because I just woke up getting blocked. I tried to message her, she blocked me everywhere. So I decided to make a video ranting about it, because I can't make art of her, so why not make a video?
Who knows what Lumi actually expected to happen after her illogical reasoning, but the whole situation only ended up pushing people even further away. Everybody deserves love, except you, a person who will repeat the same mistakes and won't change at all. Seeing the harsh reaction of people at this video and just everything else she had been doing, Lumi seemed to realize that her reputation had collapsed completely. So she returned to the one tactic that had worked for her before. Only this time, because people no longer believed her, she needed someone else to sell it for her. And that person was her then boyfriend, Matt. So on February 24th, 2019, Matt posted a tweet from Lumi's account announcing she was dead and both him and her family needed some space and privacy to grieve. However, the response to this tweet was not what she had in mind. Half of the people didn't believe her and the other half that didn't care enough to feel sorry for her. So about 2 months later, Lumi tried to make the story look more believable by posting a picture of herself on Twitter with a bandage over her forehead and eye, claiming that her attempt to take her own life had failed, but people were still very much skeptical. And instead of letting the image speak for itself, Lumi eventually released a document explaining what supposedly happened. According to her, she had reached that point because she couldn't handle the constant harassment and bullying she was facing over her past mistakes. Then she explained why the attempt had apparently failed. She also claimed the eye patch had nothing to do with the attempt, saying she had always used it to protect her eye from the sun. And by the end of the post, she tried to shift the focus back towards sympathy, saying she had been in the hospital to make sure she was okay and didn't expect to come home to more harassment. She also mentioned that some people had sent kind messages, which apparently made her happy. But for most people, the explanation only raised more questions. First, the idea that someone could use a gun on themselves and come away with only a little bit of bleeding was already difficult to believe. Then there was the eye patch. It had never been a noticeable part of her online persona before, and there didn't seem to be any previous mention of a lifelong eye condition. So when she suddenly claimed it was unrelated to the attempt, it looked like she was trying to explain away a detail that no longer fit the story. Thirdly, the massive attitude change at the end of the post was pretty questionable. In the beginning, Lumi claimed she tried to unalive herself because she was tired of the constant bullying and harassment, and by the end of it, she is thanking people for dropping nice messages and promising to focus on her recovery. It was clear that she didn't intend to end her life, just wanted to get attention. And while the internet was not buying it, Lumi wasn't stepping down either. A few days later, she posted a picture of her supposedly wounded head, but even that didn't help. The mark didn't look like a real injury, it looked hand-painted, and it wasn't even in the same place where the bandage had been. Lumi's online presence became a toxic cycle of self-destruction. The more the internet ridiculed her, the more desperate she became for their pity. But every time she tried to force that sympathy, she only ended up looking worse in everyone's eyes. And somehow, even this wasn't the rock bottom of Lumi's pathetic stunts for fishing sympathy. On August 27th, 2021, American Minecraft YouTuber Technoblade announced that he had terminal stage cancer. His fans immediately responded with an overwhelming outpouring of love and support, turning an incredibly dark moment into an unforgettable tribute to the legacy he left behind for millions of people. The entire community's focus shifted in an instant, suddenly revolving around nothing but cancer, hospitals, and the hope for recovery. Then, just one day later, Lumi made a similar announcement of her own. At the time, she was using the identity Dokashiniko, and on that account, she claimed that she had cancer too. After that, she would regularly post updates about her hospital, treatment, and how difficult everything was. And because this was a medical tragedy, a lot of people responded the way most normal people would. The internet showed concern and expressed support. For the first time in a long while, Lumi was getting the kind of sympathy she had been desperately chasing. And once she saw that people were taking it seriously, she took it one step ahead by asking for donations. She put up this act for a couple of months and apparently raised $1,000 through donations. In September 2021, Lumi announced her own death and disappeared from the account. And even though she had promised the refunds for people who never got their commission fulfilled, she never actually returned them the money. For a while, the whole thing remained one more disturbing mystery attached to one of Lumi's many identities, until years later when she admitted the truth herself. In a 2025 apology document, Lumi confessed that she had faked cancer. Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, even this wasn't the only controversy following Lumi through 2021. Around the same time, she was also being accused of making NSFW art of romantic partners, often without their consent. Whenever she was called out, Lumi would simply dismiss the backlash by claiming she had made the art years ago when she was much younger, as if the timeline automatically wiped away her accountability and excused her from ever owning up to her mistakes. This disturbing pattern had actually first been tracked by Castiel back in 2018. In a video expose, Castiel claimed that Lumi's work technically came under CP, given that the artwork depicted Lumi and her partner at a time when both were well under the age of consent.
Roughly 13 or 14, and she's 16. This is technically child, as both people exist and are under the age of consent.
By 2021, that issue resurfaced with far more attention, and the Twitter art community turned on her again. Lumi was also accused of continuing to make non-consensual artwork of ex-partners, sometimes while those people were already in other relationships. Her issues at art didn't just stop with what she was drawing, they extended to whom she was drawing them for. Aside from making inappropriate content, Lumi also openly supported some very questionable people of the community. She had drawn fan art for Meowbah, who is known for posting disturbing content online, including NSFW art of unalive people. And for an art community that already disliked Lumi, seeing her associate with figures like this only made the backlash worse. On top of that, she also reconnected with iMilky, a creator she previously exposed for PDF behavior and to gain traction for her channel. She also occasionally made art for Pup Kitty Fan 1, another creator who had been accused of and predatory conduct. Time after time, Lumi issued her superficial apologies with the intention of justifying her behavior rather than owning up to her mistakes. But Lumi's online decisions were only one part of the chaos, because the Matt situation, which had already been running in the background for years, was about to become its own disaster. By this point, Matt wasn't just her on and off boyfriend.
After finding out stuff about him, I got really skeptic over him, and I would break up with him a couple of times and just to show him that I couldn't handle it anymore and he needed to stop doing that because it hurt me, and I kinda, in a twisted way, wanted to hurt him back for it. So I broke up with him like every time this happened. Was it a good idea? Of course not.
And by Lumi's own admission, their relationship had always been unstable. Matt had allegedly cheated on her more than once.
I should have not broken up with him, but I should also have broken up with him when he first lied and cheated on me. But it actually feels like the relationship truly ended when he did cheat anyway. I didn't stop loving him though when I broke up with him, of course. I still loved him the same way.
But despite the constant drama, Matt was still tied to some of the worst moments in Lumi's online history, including the death hoax. However, the news of their breakup spread on Twitter in 2020 when Lumi said she was open to seeing other people again. But letting things go isn't really Lumi's style. Down the line, Matt started seeing a girl named Starla, the very same girl he allegedly cheated on Lumi with, and that was when Lumi completely lost it. She started trying to get him back and ruin his relationship with Starla, and since Matt had ended all contact with her, she reached out to him using fake accounts to message him and tried to guilt trip him into replying. But it seemed like Matt had decided to walk away for good this time, and he completely stopped responding to her messages. Feeling helpless, Lumi reached out to Starla and begged for her help. Starla actually showed genuine concern for her well-being, but she made it clear that Matt wanted absolutely nothing to do with her. Once Lumi realized that begging Starla wouldn't bring Matt back either, her desperation turned into retaliation. Not long after, an anonymous account named Exposing Matt appeared online and began leaking his private information. At the time, Lumi did not admit to running the account, but to many people watching, the pattern looked familiar. The account posted Matt's legal name, his address, and even his social media passwords for everyone to see. Before the information was posted publicly, Lumi had allegedly accessed several of Matt's accounts, including his Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. From there, the situation became even more invasive. She allegedly leaked nudies photos of Matt from when he was 17, then sent a Snapchat message to his friends claiming he hated them, seemingly to damage his friendships from the inside. She also threatened him to put his personal medical records online, treating the entire thing like a joke. Lumi would later apologize for the hacking, but even that apology followed the same pattern as before. She started off by agreeing that hacking is wrong and that nobody should ever do it. In the next instant, she tried to justify it by explaining how incredibly angry she was at Matt for blocking her, as if being upset somehow makes it okay.
Okay. This one is completely on me, and I should never done what I did. But I got his password to all of his accounts. He had sent it to me before, so I could log into them to check so he wasn't cheating again. I got his Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram. I was super upset and really mad, and even now I feel guilty about it, but...
She also implied it wasn't technically hacking because Matt had given her his passwords while they were dating, but having access to someone's accounts in the past does not give you the right to weaponize that access after the relationship ends. And that was the problem with almost every Lumi apology. On top of this, Lumi also allegedly stole Matt's previous name and used it to impersonate him on Twitter. Then she allegedly impersonated Starla too, creating a fake profile using her name, posting her pictures, and saying inappropriate things while pretending to be her. When every single attempt to get his attention failed, Lumi decided to pull out the last card she was left with. She made a video titled Exposing Matt, where she threw some serious allegations towards Matt. Along with claims of lying, cheating, and a toxic breakup cycle, Lumi said that after a month of her first meetup with Matt, she started feeling really sick. She went to the hospital to take a pregnancy test, which came out positive. She claimed she told Matt, but he didn't believe her.
I took a pregnancy test and it came back positive at the doctor's. So I don't have pictures of it because it was just a little stick and I wasn't allowed to bring like phones in there. So I don't have proof of it. He's gonna have to take me with a grain of salt there. So I told Matt about it and he was not believing it. I had to take another pregnancy test at home to show him that it was real, which I would do anyway, but he didn't believe me.
Then she said she lost the child because of the pills she was taking at the time.
About a month and a half later, I had a miscarriage from the pills I had been taking. And this hurt a lot, but I wanted it to go away on my own terms.
She went even further to claim that the second time they met up, Matt raped her. According to her version, they were cuddling in bed when Matt asked her to do something she wasn't comfortable with, and then forced her into it anyway.
But one night when we were cuddling in bed, he asked me to do something with him, and ended up forcing me to do it, even if I didn't want to. Even when I said no, and he just told me, "What do you mean by no?" Now, he's saying it was in a joking manner, but I really didn't take it as such. And as a rape victim myself of a few years, this isn't a joke you make to a victim. He knew what happened to me, but he didn't care, so we continued.
She said that this led to another pregnancy, which she found out about only after the breakup. So she went back to him and made things right because she truly loved him. But before she could give him the news, he blocked her again and went away. Lumi then contacted him from a fake account and told him about the pregnancy. He didn't believe her and asked for proof. And after she showed proof, Matt just blocked her again.
So I contacted him on a separate account and told him about it. He didn't believe me, but told me to show proof, in which I did. And he called me and we started talking about it, what we're gonna do. But he ended up blocking me again. Now I needed closure, of course, and I pretty much begged him to come back because I needed his approval for the abortion.
But the more Lumi talked about it, the less consistent the story became. A few months later, she gave another version, claiming she was having a panic attack when Matt took advantage of the situation and forced himself on her. The third time she talked about it on a live stream call, and this time she said that she and Matt never had intercourse, but he forced her into oral sex.
But I will say, it wasn't like It wasn't. I came back up from the shower and he was laying in my bed, like, and he was like, "Come here." I'm like, "No." And like, he forced me to give him head, and that was like, I said no. Obviously, I said no.
And then, about a year later, during an interview with A-Space, Lumi finally admitted that the whole story of grape allegation and pregnancy was made up. In fact, they didn't do anything at all.
Now I want to get into Matt. This is the most contentious thing ever. I have a lot of questions when it comes to this, obviously.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there was a video where you admitted to faking pregnancy with him. Do you still stand by that?
No, we didn't even have sex at all. Like...
You didn't have sex at all?
No.
But before that admission, Lumi had already gone to extreme lengths to make the pregnancy story look believable. She allegedly stole someone else's ultrasound photo from online and edited it to make it look like her own. But it didn't take the internet long to trace the original image back to a Swedish woman online. She even opened emergency commissions to raise money for abortion, but nobody actually donated anything. And during all this, she never stopped harassing Starla and Matt online. She drew Matt's NF art that showed him decapitated to let her anger and frustration out. She tried to defame him online. So Matt Boldev is a horrible person and cheats on everyone he's with, sends to people who doesn't want them, secretly jacks off in calls without them knowing, and is genuinely disgusting. Thank you. She then issued copyright strikes against his channel to take it down. He was using art she had originally gifted him for his videos, and Matt made it clear that he had properly credited her in every video. She spread false rumors about him where she said he tried to get her arrested. She mocked his relationship with Starla publicly, and when directly harassing them no longer got the reaction she wanted, she started reaching out to Matt's mutuals to say cruel things about them too. She wanted to ruin Matt's relationship with Starla so bad that she had to make yet another fake account to threaten her. I'm actually about to send a SWAT team to her house. I'm not scared to send shit to her parents and literally fuck her life up. Maybe ill herself? Go fuck herself. Oh, Act Ali, go ill yourself for all I care. I will fuck your life up. Ill yourself. Time to send shit to your mom. Oh wait, she hates you. All this harassment allegedly continued for over a year before Matt started retaliating seriously. After months of threats, accusations, and online harassment, Matt released a document on Twitter laying out the major events of their relationship and explaining how he believed Lumi had manipulated him from the very beginning. When everyone else was against Lumi, he supported her and refused to see any bad in her because she was extremely manipulative. Matt also described an incident from their first meetup where Lumi allegedly pinned him down, him with full force, and laughed while doing it. According to Matt, the situation scared him even more because Lumi treated it like a joke. Later, to manipulate him, she started crying, calling herself a bad partner, but because Matt didn't want to scare her away, he told her she wasn't. Hen Lumi was asked about the situation. Just like always, she blamed her mental state, claiming the voices in her head had wanted her to hurt Matt.
While we met up, the voices came back to me one night. I just wanted to make him feel like I was in control of this. Horrible mindset again. What was I thinking?
Matt didn't stop here either. He involved his parents and they decided to take the matter to court. This clearly scared Lumi because while Matt had cheated on her and lied about things, Lumi had done some real illegal things like cyberbullying, doxing, swatting, and such. And with the pregnancy and rape allegations now proven false, she had nothing that she could use against him in the court of law. So she tried reaching out to Matt to convince him to settle the matter outside court. When Matt didn't reply, she turned to Starla, the person she had been bullying for a whole year now. She asked her to be put in touch with Matt and if there was a possibility they could sort things out among themselves. With Matt refusing, Lumi started spiraling in public again. She claimed she had already apologized, offered to drop things from her side, and that Matt was being too egotistical to sit down and talk like a mature person, which was ironic, considering this entire situation only reached that point because of everything she had done publicly. She started crashing out in public, saying she had already apologized and offered to drop the charges, but Matt is way too egoistic to just sit and talk like a mature person, which was pretty ironic if you think about it. She also gave Matt a list of reasons why she believed he owed her an apology. He literally got me pregnant and wouldn't talk to me cause of it and left me afterwards. He says he doesn't care if I self-harm, sent shit to my house, ignored me when I was super and needed him. I have apologized to him. After exhausting every other trick in the book and with absolutely no options left, she dropped a massive apology document. And as you can probably guess by now, it was a textbook Lumi apology. She basically listed all her bad behavior, but then spent the rest of the time making excuses to justify it, refusing to take an ounce of actual responsibility. You would think an apology of that scale would finally close the Matt and Starla chapter, but instead, the situation found one last way to get even uglier. Soon after the document dropped, Matt secretly got back in touch with Lumi behind Starla's back. The two started talking again and things quickly escalated into sexual activity over the phone. But the very next day, Lumi turned around and exposed him. She released another document, leaked Matt's private images, and announced that he had cheated on Starla with her the night before. Then she reached out to Starla directly, telling her what happened and saying she had proof. This unsurprisingly proved to be the final straw for Starla, who broke up with Matt and said she wanted to move past that phase of her life while staying off the internet for a while. And only after completely destroying what was left of their relationship did Lumi finally claim she was moving on. She made one last post saying she no longer loved Matt, but Lumi couldn't stay gone for long. In 2024, Lumi once again rebranded herself on Twitter as Bunny, and for a while, this version of Lumi looked different. Instead of constantly being surrounded by drama, she focused on posting art, interacting with followers, and rebuilding a public image that had nothing to do with her past. And the audience liked the art, as most of them had no idea who the person behind the profile actually was. And for a while, that ignorance worked in her favor. This version of Lumi seemed calmer. She was staying out of public fights, taking commissions from followers, and even creating art for two bigger YouTubers. From the outside, it almost looked like she had finally learned to keep her life online simple. But as they say, old habits die hard. So, It was only a matter of time before Lumi fell back to her old ways. In 2025, she once again faked cancer, and because her brand new audience had absolutely no idea about her disgusting past, they took her words at face value and genuinely felt sorry for her. But before that story could grow into anything bigger, Lumi's attention shifted somewhere else. In March 2025, she decided to return to the VTuber community and create a new YouTube channel. She posted that she wanted help getting back into editing, since it had been a while since she had done that kind of work. That was when Maker came into the picture. Maker, aka I Am Maker or Maker Media Plus, is a YouTuber who belongs to the gaming community of VTubers. By his own admission, he reached out to Lumi to help her grow her YouTube and teach her the fundamentals.
At some point she made a post that she was interested in starting YouTube and stuff. Oh, I'd be happy.
The two quickly became close friends. At that time, Maker didn't know about Lumi's past and the things she had done. He also said that Maker never saw their bond as anything more than platonic, especially since Lumi was actively presenting herself as a lesbian on her public Twitter account at the time. As the time passed, they developed attraction towards each other, and it was Lumi who first asked Maker if they should take things more seriously, and that was the start of their long-distance relationship.
Of similar things, and then she made the offer to me of like, hey, would you be interested about like talking more seriously about this?
But like almost every relationship around Lumi, problems appeared fast. At one point, they took a break after Maker found out Lumi had posted online about him making unwanted advances toward her. Maker went to her directly, apologized in case he had made her uncomfortable, and they both agreed it was better to step back for a while.
That I was making a unwanted advance or whatever, and I was made aware of this, and I was like, I did? And then I immediately went like, hey, if I did something you didn't want.
Within a week, Lumi came back, offering an apology in an attempt to rekindle things with Maker. To explain her behavior, she revealed that she suffered from BPD, which she claimed caused frequent mood swings and would sometimes completely alter her perception of reality.
I have this mental condition and sometimes BPD, I think she said.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can be like, I can flip moods, and sometimes that can alter my perception.
After that, Lumi and Maker started talking again, but they agreed not to make the relationship official until they had actually met in person. And with VidCon coming up, Lumi saw the perfect opportunity to make that happen. According to Maker, Lumi asked at the last minute if she could stay with him and his friends at the Airbnb they had booked. He said yes.
I did say she could come to the Airbnb, but
both of them were excited to finally meet, and for a short time, things looked normal.
We continued to like have a first fun day, and like I was getting all my stuff settled.
But once they were actually staying together, the situation started changing. According to Maker, Lumi was already staying in an Airbnb that everyone else had paid for, but still acted entitled inside it. She allegedly drank through their alcohol stash by herself.
Buzzball that someone else bought that they still talk about to this day, of like biblical levels of greed.
Fuck.
And made one of Maker's friends, Ayuchi, uncomfortable despite barely interacting with them. Then, while all of this was happening, Maker stumbled across the truth about Lumi's past. He later found some of the videos about Lumi's past on the internet and started panicking. Once he realized who he might be dealing with, he made up a fake emergency and left Airbnb.
No, I straight up lied. I will acknowledge, I lied about that, bro. I will, like, this is my safety and the safety of my possessions, and I was like, okay, I need an excuse of why I'm just packing up all my stuff and going. So I said my cousins were coming to town, and I was taking a ride with them and then getting away. My cousins were, like, I didn't completely make that up. Apparently my cousins.
And once Lumi realized Maker was pulling away and no longer seemed interested in making the relationship official, the situation took a familiar turn. She came forward and accused him of SA. She also claimed she might be pregnant because of the alleged assault, saying she had no idea how to handle it.
I feel disgusting, I feel gross, and I don't know what to do about what may be a pregnancy. I have contacted Mom, I have contacted the authorities, and I have also contacted social services in my country. None of them know how to handle this, as I am in Sweden and he is in Texas, and it all happened in California, so I am not sure what to do.
Then she gave her version of what happened. We agreed to have in the shower, and after that, I told him that I didn't want him to finish in me and that I was not under birth control. This was, yes, irresponsible of me, but I took it as a please pull out before you come in. He chose not to and came in me and said, see you in 9 months. Maker denied the allegations. What she is saying is absolutely not true, and his friends backed him up. As someone who was present throughout all of this, I can attest to quite a bit of this. I tried to be civil, but we were all lied to, multiple times. He later showed DMs where Lumi herself appeared to describe the situation as a miscommunication. She even claimed she had been bruised and hurt during this alleged SAA and shared pictures of herself, which later turned out to be a sunburn. The drama quickly spread across Twitter, but unlike Lumi's newer audience, a lot of people in the commentary and VTuber community now knew about her history. So people started doubting the story almost immediately. And as more information came out, Lumi's own version began shifting. She later admitted that the itself was consensual and that Maker had not forced her into it. And according to this revised version, the issue was specifically that she had not consented to how it ended.
That I was fine with the sex. I was not raped. But this was assault. In California law, shooting in someone without their consent during a sexual encounter is illegal and be classified as sexual battery or sexual assault. And that's where I draw the line.
But even while this accusation was still unfolding, Lumi was also trying to reconnect with Maker romantically and sexually. This predictably made the entire situation even harder for people to understand. Because on one hand, she was publicly accusing Maker of SA, but on the other hand, she was still trying to pull him back into the same kind of relationship she claimed had traumatized her. Maker clearly didn't seem interested in dating her again. And after months of backlash, contradictions, and more evidence coming out, Lumi eventually had to retract the allegations. But when it became clear Maker wasn't interested in going back to her, she brought the accusation back. Only this time, she added 2 new allegations that had not been mentioned when the drama first went viral. On February 23rd, 2026, Lumi tweeted that Maker had assaulted her and claimed she had proof. Under the post, she attached a link to a YouTube video. That video is no longer available on the internet today, as Lumi later had to take down her channel to escape the absolute mess she had created. But before it vanished, the contents were staggering. She accused Maker of 3 separate times. First, she repeated the same allegation she had already walked back in 2025, that they had sex in the shower. Then she introduced a second incident from the same VidCon trip. According to Lumi, they were on a sofa under a blanket when Maker began touching her inappropriately, while a minor was allegedly in the room.
Pulls out, says, turn around. And I was like, why? And he's like, I gotta finish the job. I didn't know what that meant. I know that sounds stupid, but I'm autistic as f***, and I don't get social cues.
The third allegation was even more serious. She said she did not want to do anything while a minor was sleeping nearby, and that he then took her to the bathroom and forced her into...
Because it gets into like gray territory here, because, okay, the reason why it's getting into gray territory is because you, whether you intended to or not, did give bodily consent with turning around and being like, okay.
Which is one of the most important parts.
But because of Lumi's history, people immediately started comparing this situation to what had happened with Matt. Driven by the bitterness of the breakup, she turned into a scorned ex and created a public scandal. So in an effort to respond properly, Maker sat down for an interview with A Space and laid out his version of events. According to Maker, the couch incident did not happen the way Lumi described it. He said nobody was around when things started, that Lumi initiated the act, and that as soon as people came into view, they stopped.
Yes, of course it was a miscommunication, but that doesn't matter.
It does if you're trying to get a scale of severity. Well, it does if you get a scale of severity, and if, okay, to be very clear, right? To be very fair, if he says, I'm going to finish the job, right? And you turn around for him to finish the job.
To support his side, Maker shared messages he said were from Lumi the day after the incident. In those messages, Lumi allegedly said everything was fine, and that the reason she asked him to stop was because she was close to finishing and didn't want the moment to end yet. Maker also denied forcing Lumi into oral sex as well as pushing her head too hard.
The was alright. Like, it was just, like, she expressed to me that that was something she really wanted to do beforehand. No, she did not press against my name. Like, she didn't allege that the first time.
He then shared another DM where Lumi appeared to describe him holding the back of her head as gentle and even called it a turn-on. She apparently rated the experience 10 out of 10, which made her later version much harder for people to believe. By this point, the backlash became impossible for Lumi to ignore. After the video spread, she released an apology for the millionth time. This time, the apology covered almost her entire internet history. I took artwork and designs that wasn't mine and presented them as my own. I did this knowing it was wrong. I spoke about and used and weaponized private information about people I once called friends, enemies, and more throughout the years 2017 to 2020. I lied about personal things and identities, sometimes for sympathy, sometimes to avoid criticism. I accepted commissions in a rush and never finished the comms that were promised. She promised to personally apologize to the people she had hurt, said she had started seeing a psychiatrist, and claimed she would no longer rebrand just to escape consequences. And compared to her earlier apologies, this one did sound different. For once, she seemed to acknowledge the pattern instead of immediately blaming everyone else. But by then, the damage was already done. Lumi had apologized too many times, disappeared too many times, and returned under too many names for people to believe another promise to change. It's coming across performative and more like image control rather than a genuine attempt to take accountability. Real accountability is long-term behavioral change, no return until trust is, rebuilt, and consistency. Really, she shouldn't have come back to post this, so between the backlash, the deleted video, and everything being brought back up again, Lumi eventually took down her YouTube channel. As of right now, she is still active on her Booniboo account on X, mostly posting her art. Whether she is actually getting help or genuinely trying to change is impossible to know. But after more than a decade of fake identities, staged crises, broken friendships, and serious allegations, the only thing left to hope is that everyone caught in Lumi's chaos can finally move on in peace.